We're doing Michael Jackson, specifically on his relationship with children. Remember to go vote in the comments section. Now, this won't be very long. Michael Jackson, I do like his music, but I learned a long time ago never to be a fan of anyone because reality bites and it bites hard. So what we are going to look at are a few short areas. I've been watching quite a few hours of him to sit there and get a baseline on him, including all the behind the scenes video where his guard comes down. Because what you have to understand is this man was in acting mode almost 24/7. And what you get is a lot of portrayal. So let's get started.
That's not a worrying thing?
Why should it be worrying? Who's the criminal? Who's Jack the Ripper in the room?
Now, he was just asked about kids sleeping in his bed. Now, he's had so much plastic surgery that there are certain parts of his face that don't move anymore. These areas in through here, a lot over here, both sides of the face mirrored, wrinkling of forehead, pretty stretched out. It does move, there is muscle movement, but the skin is very taut. But the eyes do move. The body is not affected. So what we just saw was a lot of eye movement.
That's not a worrying thing?
Why should it be
That squint down, squint in eyes. Why should I be worried? And where he looks is he's piecing together why should he be worried.
worrying? Who's the criminal? Who's Jack the Ripper in the room?
And searches the brain.
This is a guy trying to help heal a child. I'm sleeping in a sleeping bag on the floor. I gave him the bed because he has a brother named...
Now, he didn't go to memory for that. He didn't do that. So I'm going to go back and we're going to look at the body.
I'm sleeping in a sleeping bag on the floor. I gave him the bed because he has a brother
And the core body is still deception.
named Star. So him and Star took the bed, and I'm on the floor in the sleeping bag.
Did you ever sleep?
And go back. I'm on the floor on the sleeping bag. Look at that in the eyes.
Named Star. So him and Star took the bed, and I'm on the floor in the sleeping bag.
It looks down and you got a double blink and he's in deception mode with his core body the whole time. That does not mean that he did anything. It just means that there's deception in that. There could be multiple reasons of not wanting to admit that you slept in the bed with the kids. 1, how it looks. 2, you might have done something. 3, all of the above.
Did you ever sleep in the bed with them?
No. But I have slept in the bed with many children. I sleep in the bed with all of them. When Macaulay Culkin were little.
And there we saw in his eye movement an actual reference to memory. I slept in the bed with all of them. Look again.
Kieran Culkin would sleep on this side. Macaulay Culkin's on this side. His sister's in there. We're all just jamming the bed.
He's burying. You know, it gets me, it bothers me so much is when he does, where he talks about where the sister sleeps, he actually references memory. Where he talks about where the boys are sleeping. So he's sitting there going, Kieran Culkin sleep on this side, Macaulay Culkin sleep on this side, and he's literally looking towards the sides of where the kids are at, which is a more physical reference to what is going on. And then his body also singing with that in movement and flow.
In the bed. And we wake up like dawn and go in a hot air balloon. You know,
And now we're into portrayal and acting. Let's move on to the next. This is a different interview of him being asked about kids sleeping in the bed.
Of course, why not? If you're going to be a pedophile, if you're going to be Jack the Ripper.
Now he's in portrayal mode. This is something he's obviously rehearsed as his body emphasizes the word. In the older videos, if you've been watching, you'll understand what I'm talking about. If you've been a pedophile, instead of just saying pedophile, instead of the face just emphasizing pedophile with the eyebrow movements and eye movements, the entire body leans forward and does pedophile. That's the portrayal part.
If you're going to be a murderer.
And again, murderer, that movement forward.
It's not a good idea. That I'm not. That's how we were raised. And I didn't sleep in the bed with the child. Even if I did, it's okay. I slept on the floor.
And for the child that he's referencing, I don't think it was actually specific in this interview. It was just a general question. Apparently, he did not actually sleep in the bed. His body sang with him with that.
Pedophile, if you're going to be Jack the Ripper, if you're going to be a murderer.
If you're going to be a pedophile. And then, of course, the question that you want answered, the pedophile. He actually mentions it. Pedophile. It's a rehearsed answer. And all we get to see is a shoulder movement in the head. Anytime I see portrayal, I always think deception, especially on items like this. And I don't mean deception like that he is a pedophile. It means you're trying to convince me of something that you shouldn't have to convince me of. Your body would have spoken on its own without you having to try to convince me. And that's what I mean by deception when I see it in this reference. Let's go to the next one. I found this to be a little interesting. This is Bobby Taylor talking about sleeping with Michael Jackson when he was a little kid.
Michael used to sleep with me, right? He did that with other kids. To me, that was just the way we came up as young people, as children. We came up going over for sleepovers and stuff.
You saw a lot of shaking and a lot of jerky movements. That is just the way we came up. We went over for sleepovers and stuff. Stressed about this line of questioning. His body doesn't sing. And this is where we get into that mind and speculation and opinions. Sleeping with kids that you're not related to, and some people find it taboo to even do it then, and admit it in an interview for national TV and the police department to see, already puts someone's mind in a stressful situation and can give falseness. Now we can say from the past, before the PC world enveloped all things, children really did used to sleep with their adult parents. That's just how it was. Baby came home from the hospital, baby slept with mom. One, because it was easier, especially when you're breastfeeding. That kind of thing was normal. And then the kid kept climbing back into bed with you up until you completely kicked him out or locked him in their room and put him in a little cage. That's a joke. But kids climb back in the beds with the parents. Back then anyways. Society was different. The families, and a lot of, especially poor families, shared rooms. America, or I should say the West in general, has the concept of separate rooms, individual spaces. Whereas in more older communities, poorer communities that don't have the luxuries of private bedrooms or multi-room houses, sleeping together is a normal thing. So in today's American mind, it is not normal. But you will have generations, this generation, where he might have grown up rich, but where he came from, they all lived in one shack. That tradition still passes on. That is just how it's always been. That is how it will continue, even though you may be able to afford the luxury of a multi-bedroom house. And until we get to today's mindset in America and most of the Western society, that culture, that norm is pretty much dead. So I cannot, I can't sit there and say that, oh my God, he's been touching Michael Jackson and that's why Michael Jackson does what he does. He's not giving out a whole lot of stress. He's not giving the cues of getting pleasure out of the whole thing. If you have a pedophile, a true pedophile, when they sit there and think about kids being in the bed, you're going to see tells of pleasure on their face. I shouldn't say just their face, but their bodies. Everywhere. There will be a tells of pleasure, past pleasure. And we don't see that. Let's move on. A lot of you may recognize this one. This is Wade Robson. When he was little, accused Michael Jackson of being inappropriate with him.
To understand that it was sexual abuse.
So what are you alleging that he actually did?
He sexually abused me from 7 years old until 14.
And here we see a very still body, not moving and jerking in opposite direction of a head movement to the shoulder movement. The body is not singing.
He actually did.
He sexually abused me from 7 years old until 14.
And he's portraying as he did from 7 years old to 14. Body portrayal on that word. And as we continue to watch...
Yes, exactly what you said. He performed sexual acts on me and forced me to perform sexual acts on him.
And giving direct eye contact on something that is supposedly damaging to his mind. Deception. And as we look at him later, after Michael's death...
Just had a wonderful relationship. I learned so much from him as an artist and as a...
You see how much his body moves. And no, it's not the bebop music in the TV show here. His body is singing with him.
A kind human being. And it's my goal to try and just continue as much as I can in my own little world, that legacy.
That is a lot of body movement compared to what we see when he's talking about sexual abuse. He's giving, in that sexual abuse talk, he's giving direct eye contact and he's confronting the interviewer in it's a standoffish way. I mean, it really does look like a stare down. Believe me, this is what I'm telling you. Victims don't have that mentality. And before you sit there and scream, I'm a victim and I guess I must be lying. Yes, you are. Go away. So what are my opinions on Michael Jackson? And this is strictly my opinions. I've told you just the body. I don't think he was sexually abusing kids. I do think he had a very inappropriate relationship with children. This is a grown man interacting with kids on a kid level. That in itself is just odd and not healthy. And I think for many of his accusers, he was a cash cow and for attention seeking. But in watching all the videos that I've watched on Michael Jackson, I have come to the conclusion that he was definitely not the kind of person that he portrayed to the world. That would be a separate video. If you liked it, leave a like. If you like the content, please subscribe. Thanks for watching.